In this video, I want to teach you guys about the cargar estar verbs. We've learned them before. We learned them back when we learned about the preterite most recently. But what happens is when you have a verb like car, like sacar, it ends in C-A-R, and it's that hard K sound. It's that k, that's the sound we have in the infinitive, and that's the sound we want to preserve when we go beyond the infinitive and other conjugations. So we want to keep that k sound intact. So when we have a verb like sacar, and if you follow the rules of the -2 command, what you would do is you would go to the yo form, you drop the O, and you have sacar, and the yo form is saco, S-A-C-O. S-A-C-O, drop the O of the ending, and you'll have S-A-C you're left with, and then you add the opposite ending S, which is S-A-C-E-S, which that's a problem because there's consistency with Spanish letters. The pronunciation with certain combinations, and the CE is consistently going to be pronounced either se or the. And in this case, we want to have it to say que because it's sacar. We want to keep that k sound intact. So in order to make that happen, we have to spell change. And so I'll refer to these types of verbs as spell changing verbs. And what happens is we will change the C of saco, S-A-C-O, we'll change the C to Q-U, then we add the opposite ending and S. So we've done this before, we did it in the preterite, and when we did it in the preterite, we always had to add an accent mark with these E's. We are not doing that here because this is not the preterite. We want to stress the second to last syllable, not the last syllable like we did in the preterite. So make sure our accent marks are not going to be on these endings. So our spelling of that syllable, if it's a C-A-R verb, whenever it's the -2, is going to be Q-U-E-S. That's always going to be E-S at the end of these spell changing verbs because they're all A-R verbs. Notice that car, gar, sar, they're all A-R verbs. So the opposite ending of A-R verbs is the letter E. And then they're -2, so they'll also have an S at the end. So you can see, if you look at the pattern, any car verb becomes the C here, will turn to QU. And for sacar, it becomes no saques, S-A-Q-U-E-S. So this, you would think if you didn't know the rules any better, that this would be spelled with a C, but it is not. It's a QU instead. Same thing happens with gar. And again, it's also about the consistency of the rules. Pagar is, we want to keep that G sound. But if you have a G-E combination, that would not keep that sound. That would make it more like the English H sound, he. So we have to put a U in there, a G. We just add the U after the letter G to make it the hard G sound, to make that G sound still. So this is no apagues instead of A-P-A-G-E-S, which we would be pronounced apages. We don't want to say the ges, we want to say ges. So we have to put a U right there to keep that G sound. Again, just consistency. Almorzar, same deal. This is also a stem changing verb. O becomes UE in the yo form, almuerzo. But on top of that, we'll have the stem change, almuerzo, O to UE. We're also going to change that Z to a C. We don't have a ZE combination in Spanish. So to be consistent, we just change that Z to a C and then add ES. Pronunciation-wise, it wouldn't make a difference, but it's just about that consistency. And ZE combination doesn't happen. There just wasn't a need for it. So there is, we're gonna keep this se sound or the sound as a CE combination just to maintain its consistency. So we get any ZAR verb, whether it's a stem changing verb or not, you are going to change that Z to a C. And in this case, we have almuerzo, drop the O. We have, and then we have a Z at the end. We're going to change to the letter C. And then the opposite ending is an E plus the S. No almuerces.